Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into NFL Week 16 of MafiaBets on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. This is a Bills Mafia-based sports betting show where we will talk about the Buffalo Bills matchup this week, give you the ins, the outs, the whys, the why nots for this week's betting lines and matchups, and why you should either hammer a bet or stay as far away from it as you possibly can. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter, Joe Miller Wired, alongside my co-host, Dan. You can find him on Twitter at Buffalo Freddy. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe. Whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on right now, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. But with that, Dan, we got the NFL season is almost over. I'm back at home. I've been on the road for like the last month and a half. And we're in the final stretch here, bro.
The NFL season's almost starting, Joe.
That's fair.
I've been in playoff mode since the beginning of the season. I think I've said it on here quite a few times. The regular season, now that, maybe we can get the 1 seed, but besides getting the 1 seed, the regular season is get into the playoffs and be as healthy as possible. You have Josh Allen, you're going to be there. And there have been a lot of big games, of big moments at the Ralph Highmark Stadium that I've just not been juiced up for this year. I've been, all right, I'm just waiting for the playoffs. I'm over, the lovable loser Buffalo Bills from the drought. That's not a thing at all anymore. I'm way over it. And I expect a little bit of greatness with Josh Allen as our quarterback. And, I don't necessarily, I'm not the biggest fan of the coaching staff and whatnot, but I expect us to be competing at the highest level in the playoffs, and it makes it tough to get juiced up for the regular season for me.
I feel like the Buffalo Bills suffer a little bit from that as well. And we've seen the Chiefs kind of seemingly over the last several years suffer from that, do we really have to go through the regular season kind of feeling?
Basketball does it all the time, right? They stars.
Right. And then you've got the Buffalo Bills last week against the Patriots, who sleptwalked through the first half and then came back in roaring champion fashion and started doing exactly what you said, started playing like it was playoff football because that game mattered. They need that football game. And they end up winning that football game. And you had some bets from that game. What was your thoughts on that game and how that game work out for you?
Well, we did take the Bills money line, which I personally, when we were down 21-0, I threw in a little bit of fun on the Bills just because it was paying so good, and that worked out. We hit our Bills money line. We hit with on the third play of the game, we hit Ramondre Stevenson over 1.5 receiving. That bet for over 1.5 for running backs for their receptions is hitting, especially in Bills games, a lot. I don't know if that's the reason. The way the Bills play defense with that soft zone, sometimes they're just letting passes underneath.
Right.
But the opposing running backs are getting dump balls all over the place. Last week we had that unique situation, which I think it worked out perfectly. It was great. Kansas City Chiefs, they're out of the playoffs right now. I couldn't be happier. But we had that free roll, right?
Yes.
Where we lost our free bonus bet that I put the bonus bet on the Kansas City Chiefs to make the playoffs, right? So then I hedged it with the Chargers, which I couldn't believe they were plus 215. To win that game. So that was a decent win right there.
So three extra units right there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. And then another bet, we talked about this one way over. This was a pretty good football game, Detroit versus LA. And how about the Rams? The Rams are my number one concern left in the NFL right now. For playing the Bills. And we saw what the Rams did versus Carolina in bad weather. They were not the same football team. I think of all the teams in the NFL, the Bills and probably the Rams are the two teams that have the biggest home field advantage for their style of play and whatnot. And the Rams potentially not getting that 1 seed or home field advantage. If the Seahawks end up winning that division and the Rams have to play on the road and not in that dome, that really affects that team because they're such a rhythm passing team. They, coaching wise, their scheme, he's just throwing 30-yard dimes down the field to wide receivers in stride. He can't do that in 32 degrees and snowing. He can't.
And wind. Yeah, they're definitely finesse. They're a finesse offense for sure. They scare me. I would agree, only because they can run the ball, and then Matthew Stafford can do what he can play traditional style quarterbacking, drop back passer football. 5-step, 7-step drop, go through his progressions, 1, 2, 3, 4, come back to 1 type stuff, which is what you see, a lot of the Tom Brady stuff, right? Like what guys do, but he can also do what Tua Tagovailoa, what they try to do with Tua, which is basically get the ball out so fast the Bills defense or the defense they're playing can't necessarily react to it. Stafford is incredibly versatile as a quarterback and always has been in the NFL. But yes, I agree with you on that point that they probably make me the most nervous as well.
Yeah, getting them out early in the NFC playoffs, I think, is key. Obviously the Bills have to handle business; they have to get there. But I do not want to see them in the Super Bowl.
But turning our focus and our attention to this week's slate of games, we'll start with the Buffalo Bills headed to Cleveland. FanDuel's line right now in the game is, I believe, is 10.5 points. The spread 10.5. Before we get into this, I'd like to just go through real quick what we do. This is for entertainment purposes. This is a sports gambling, sports betting show where Dan is going to give you all the things that he likes and doesn't like and what he does and how he does things. He's done a very good job. You've done a very good job, Dan, this year of teaching people what you do. Dan likes to bet in units, 100 units at that. So basically take your whatever you're going to bet, break it down into units, monetize those units, penny, nickel, dime, quarter, dollar, whatever. We do $1 on this show. We only bet 100 units. We stick to 100 units. Don't overbet. Dan always says you don't have to bet. And for goodness sakes, if you've got a gambling problem, please seek help. Dan, how do you like this Bills Browns matchup?
Their defense is phenomenal. I think we're going to be in for one of those grounded out, boring football games. I don't expect to have the success we did against Carolina running the football, but I think it's going to be a similar game plan. I don't think we have to unleash Josh Allen in this game. If we do, I think it's a mistake, unless it's close. Like if it's a close game, it shouldn't be. But
right. Well, this game is shutting down Judkins and shutting down Myles Garrett. Right. That's what this football game is.
When a team is not diverse, when an opposing team has one or two things that they're phenomenal at, we tend to scheme against that. Well, it's when the opponent team's like counterpunch is still getting home or being effective. That's what seems to kill us. 10.5 points is a lot. I'm not afraid to put the Bills in any teaser to get it down to 3.5 or 4.5. We should win by a touchdown plus. 10.5 is a lot of points. That over under is really unique. 41.5. I would almost expect the Bills to have very good field position often, which you're playing a very good defense, but if you have very good field position because you're playing against Shedeur Sanders in a terrible offense, I'd expect to hit the over in this game. Or if you're not betting, like you could bet, if you're going to bet the Bills, you kind of have to bet the over because there's no scenario. It's very rare that you're going to cover 10.5 points in a game.
Right.
And it's not going to go under, or it's not going to go over, excuse me. So the only way you're going to win that is if it's like 21-10.
Right.
And
I feel like
there's few scores that you can bet the Bills and the under.
I feel like this is a Bills score 30 points. Like whatever. It's like they just back into 30 points because that's what they do. It's a sleepy 30 points like we've seen them do a lot. And then on top of that, you got to wonder how much are the Browns going to be able to score. I would expect with Judkins. I don't know what your betting lines are, and I'm not telling anybody to bet this. I bet he has 2 touchdowns in this game. I bet he has. I would imagine he gets 2 touchdowns in this game. I'm not.
I would think they'd have to be long touchdowns.
Well, which is also possible.
It is very possible, right? But you don't have Joe Burrow. You don't have Drake May.
Right.
Having sustainable long drives in this game.
Right.
You have Shedeur Sanders.
Right.
Now let's talk about the quarterbacks the Bills have done not great against, right?
Okay.
Because they're a top pass defense in the league, yardage wise, right? We see people.
But why? You got to caveat. You got to caveat that.
They give up we hold the ball a lot, which is great because we have Josh going.
Yes.
Time possession helps a lot. We give up a ton of rushing yards.
Yeah, teams run against us, which is why.
But we have had quite a few games where we just haven't given up a lot of yards overall.
True.
So your Joe Burrows, your Drake Mays, your Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and then somehow Michael Penix are the quarterbacks that have gone over 177.5 yards passing against the Bills. Basically, none of the bad quarterbacks have. The Bills average giving up about 160 some yards a game passing, which is very low. I do not expect Shedeur Sanders to go over 177.5 yards passing.
I would agree with that.
So that is our first bet is going to be on under Shedeur Sanders right here, the under 177.5 yards passing.
Yeah, it's also important to know that Christian Benford was a full participant on Friday, so expect him to be back. Bernard was a full participant, and then obviously Cam Lewis was limited, but I think
we're getting healthy
I think we're
at
getting
the right time.
Yes,
and if Kincaid can stay healthy, there's he's still there contributing. Anytime that he's in a game healthy, we're a completely different offense.
For sure.
You get Ed Oliver back, like I think the projection is the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
His social media insinuates it's way earlier. I don't know what to believe. But you get Ed Oliver back, and we go into the playoffs like pretty darn healthy. Besides Hoyt, look out.
Yes, sir.
Second bet, we're gonna go right back to Shedeur Sanders though. Shedeur Sanders, he's gonna be running for his life, right? He should be. You're gonna have McDermott putting his mind in a blender. That's what he does to young quarterbacks. We can say anything we want about McDermott in the playoffs and big situations at the end of these huge playoff games, but when he plays a young quarterback, he mind screws them up, right?
Yes.
So I expect him to not be able to throw the ball that much, but he's going to be scrambling a little bit for his life, in my opinion. So his over-under is 8.5 yards. I think that's ludicrous. He had 29 yards rushing and 24 yards rushing his last couple games. He's probably going to be rushing for his life. I'm actually going to take that, and then I'm going to ladder it up to like 20 yards.
Nice.
20 yards got like plus 300 and change. So I think that's a pretty good ladder, especially considering the last 2 weeks he would have hit that ladder alone, let alone his over-under at 8.5 yards.
Right.
And then back to old reliable here. Sometimes when stuff's not broke, I don't fix it.
Don't fix it.
Yep. Receiving props, total receptions. Do you know? Now, I really like seeing this because I was wondering what was taking place with Ty Johnson early in the season. I don't know if it was holding stuff back. I don't know what was taking place with why he just wasn't involved. We didn't have, and Ray Davis wasn't involved either until he started. I don't know if he cut a little bit of weight and started doing the kick returns. He even looks faster when he's running the ball too, but he was slow. But Ty Johnson in 7 straight games has gotten at least 2 receptions.
Oh, wow.
7 straight games. And he has an over-under of 1.5.
1.5. Yeah.
I'm putting that in basically every parlay I have.
Yeah, in a football game where Myles Garrett is going to be pinning his ears back.
Myles Garrett, yeah, exactly. That's a perfect point, Joe.
Yeah.
When Myles Garrett is coming at you, you just want to get rid of the ball as quick as possible. How do you stop the pass rush? You dump it off underneath as quick as possible.
That's right.
Get your out route.
That's
so
right.
that's what we like for the Bills game.
Love it. So you've got Shedeur Sanders under 175.5 passing yards, Shedeur Sanders over 8.5 rushing yards, laddering to 20, and Ty Johnson over 1.5 receptions for the Bills-Browns game.
With Ty Johnson, it actually paid very well if you went to 3 receptions, which for the last 7 weeks, all 7 of his last 7 games, he's gotten 2 or more. 4 of his last 7 games, he's gotten 3 or more. It paid plus 170 something for him to get 3 receptions, so I put a sprinkle on 3 receptions as well.
Nice, very good. Now for the overreaction bet of the week, which is the stay away bet that Dan likes to say. So the one that all of the media people are pointing you to, and Dan wants to fade and keep you away from. So who is your overreaction bet for the week?
We're gonna stay on the Bills game. Let's give a little jolt to Bills Mafia here. Just cause a little chatter. Let's think about how the Bills are operating and what they're doing.
Tickle the tonsils.
Josh Allen. I'm fading his rushing this week, and I want to thoroughly explain why.
Okay.
Josh Allen's rushing is over under 34.5 yards. He's been rushing recently. A majority of the time late in games, in a big comeback, he's been getting a 20 or 30-yard rush.
Right.
And he's still only getting like 40, 50 yards rushing. He uses his legs as needed in situations that he needs to win the game or late in the season, right? Should he have to run for his life in this game? Besides running from Myles Garrett, in this season, in versus lesser opponents, he was trying to escape the pocket and like haphazardly just like sort of slowly ran and dumped off the ball. I think for the last 3 or 4 years, they've protected Josh in the regular season for like the first 9 weeks of the season consistently.
You're probably right.
I think this game should be the same way. You should be protecting Josh Allen. He had a stretch of games earlier this season, not too long ago, because he had 3 decent rushing games in a row versus good opponents and must-win games, right? He had 7 rushing yards, 19 rushing yards, 31 rushing yards, 40 and 20 in a 5-game stretch.
Wow.
throughout like October to mid-November.
And his number in this game is under 34.5. That's how big
and a half. That's a relatively big number.
That's a big number.
He's hit his over-under in rushing yardage late in games.
Right.
When the Bill, like he did that late versus the Ravens early in the season. He did it versus Joe. He crushed their dreams versus Joe Burrow on the last 2 drives rushing. But he got 90% of his rushing yards on those last 2 drives when he had to do it.
Exactly.
So we expect the Bills to have to pull out all the stops with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I really hope not versus the Browns.
Even from a game plan standpoint, the Bills run 5-man protection more than almost any other team in the NFL. You would expect them at this point to double team Myles Garrett, to probably chip Myles Garrett, to do all the stuff that they haven't done this year, to give Josh a little bit of extra time and not have to be running for his life
and keep him healthy.
That's right.
Using that logic and how the game should go, that's why I am going to be betting Josh's under for rushing. I want him to have a nice clean jersey and just get a win, run the ball down their throat.
Yeah.
I think that our defense can almost win this game. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to give us the ball. I didn't like the odds there were for Shedeur Sanders interception. It's like minus 230. Yeah. But so, that would have been something I would have done, but the sports books expect him to throw a pick.
Gotcha. The underreaction bet of the week, which is the one that nobody's paying attention to, the line that nobody's paying attention to, that Dan really likes. Dan, what you got?
I swung and missed hardcore last week on Cincinnati. They tricked me. I don't know. The Ravens were going in that game looking awful.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
I thought so too.
I mean, I got mollywopped on that game. I had some decent units on that personally, and I got crushed. T. Higgins is now questionable. I don't believe he plays in games that. So,
did he play last week?
I think he played part of the game.
How in the world did he come out? I don't know how he didn't have a concussion coming out of a concussion in the Bills game after hitting his head twice. But go ahead.
So he's questionable to play the game, and whenever T. Higgins doesn't play, Jamar Chase goes off. Right? They may be coming off an ugly game, but Jamar Chase has gone over 100 yards a couple games in a row. He had 136 yards last week. They scored 0 points. His over-under is 87.5, so I'm going to be taking Jamar Chase. And I like Jamar Chase for receptions as well. He had 10 receptions last week, being like their main target.
Yeah.
So if his over-under on receptions is 6 or 7, you're going to get paid decently if you go take it up to like 9 receptions.
Very good. That. Overreaction bet of the week was Josh Allen. The line is 34.5. You want to bet under that. The underreaction bet of the week is Jamar Chase over 87.5. And the hammer bet of the week, the one bet that Dan is sure about that he's going to sprinkle into, and he recommends you sprinkle into every single one of your parlays. Dan?
Earlier this year, I had a saying that I liked. We're going to do it again. Ford Field, the land of the overs.
Yes, you did say that.
Yeah. Let's add in a terrible defense.
So what you got?
So Amon-Ra St. Brown over 82.5 receiving yards. He has gone for 164 yards receiving, 92, and 149 yards receiving in his last 3 games, and he has not played a defense as bad as the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they're at home in really a must-win scenario.
Yes.
They call his number in clutch situations all the time, right?
Yes, they do.
On 3rd and 8, they're going to Amon-Ra. So I love him this week. Of course, anybody who I'm laddering, that's the hammer of the week generally anyways. So Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then we got a couple other bets that we like this week. CeeDee Lamb, he's again at home in the Dome in Dallas. To me, for receivers specifically, the weather matters so much.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm constantly taking receivers just like my Puka Nacua this week. Shout out to Shane from the Bills Mafia house. I'm sure a lot of people know who that is. You know Shane.
Yep.
He in our dynasty league, he was nice enough to trade me Puka Nacua. I had a bye week in the playoffs, and then this week I played. I think I already won the week.
Wait, when did he trade you Puka?
His team was out of the playoffs. I traded him for a better draft pick in our dynasty league
this year. He
traded me Puka at the trade deadline this year.
We got to get him into our league?
Yeah, he would join. No, he's pretty good at fantasy too.
How are you in a dynasty league where you're keeping all your players and you're trading the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Only keep a player for like a certain amount of years, for 3 years, and he was on an expiring contract.
Okay.
So I have a pure rental in Puka Nacua. Okay. I gave up a draft pick for it.
Okay.
And
now it all makes sense.
Sorry. He already won me a week, and I win this. This week's already on lock with Puka. Holy crap!
Right.
And then I win next week. We win the league. But
nice.
He was indoors. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Massive game. That was a phenomenal game, right?
Phenomenal game.
CeeDee Lamb over 78.5 receiving. He's at home in the dome. He's gone over 100 yards receiving last 3 games. If it's broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a major target for Dak. Dak is near the top of the league in passing yards. Cortland Sutton, he's gone over 60, 70, 80 yards for 4 straight games. I don't see it. If it's broke, don't fix it. I think that game's going to be a little bit of a shootout. The Jaguars offense is they're a team I'm starting to be a little bit more worried about than I thought I would. How about the fact they gave up nothing for Jacoby Myers? Or we just saw Shaheed on Thursday Night Football go and return that the punt for a touchdown.
Right.
For what do you give? We give a 4th and a 5th round pick for him.
It wasn't much. It was a bag of hockey pucks basically.
Hey, who's got the worst punt return average in the league?
Well, that's because of strategically they're trying. We're literally in he's a good punt catcher like mode. Like I love Khalil Shakir, and this is absolutely not a knock on him as a player, but they're like catch the ball and run out of bounds, and that's what Khalil Shakir does.
If you can get 7 yards, yay! But if just catch the ball, don't make a mistake, right?
You catch the ball, run out of bounds.
Anybody who could take one to the house.
It's not even catch the ball and don't make a mistake. It's catch the ball and don't take a hit. So if you catch the ball and it's not a fair catch, run out of bounds, and that's what he does.
Shaheed speed for a 4th and a 5th, or Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers has turned around that offense.
Yeah.
For the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And then Bijan Robinson, he's at 131 yards for rushing and receiving combined. They expect him to have like basically 100 yards rushing, but he's eclipsed 4 of the last 5 games, 37.5 yards receiving, and especially with Kirk Cousins dumping off the ball, Bijan's been getting a lot of receptions. So I feel like the star players are in really good matchups for fantasy playoffs and this week of betting. And there's a lot of star players that are playing in domes this week too. So you don't have to overthink it sometimes when there are players that stars or not, if they've hit a line 5-6 games in a row, they're playing a middle of the pack defense or worse. They're playing in good weather. Consistency, just do it.
Yep. For show. All good stuff, Dan. Well, as we close out all this stuff, your Bills Browns predictions, your overreaction, underreaction, hammer bet of the week, and your other bets that you like so far. What are your thoughts on the Bills Browns? Just the final score. We have never done really a score prediction on that game. So what do you think for a score prediction of that game tomorrow?
Can I give a range? I'd say
range. Yeah, range.
27-30 for the Bills to 14-20 for the Browns. So if I had to give a score prediction, I would say 27-17, and maybe they just barely miss covering.
Yeah, before we came on the air, you and I were talking about the fact that this is a Bills team that just plays to the level of their opponent. And the question is it's almost a game, as we're just wrapping up the last couple minutes here, where you almost wonder if the Browns are leading at halftime by a point or two. And I don't mean like 27-25 or 27-24. I mean like 12 to 10, like 10-7, something like that. And then the Bills double dip, right? And then whatever. And then, run away with the game.
I do expect us to do anything we have to do to block Myles Garrett. Now, he's going to get his in some way, shape, or form, but he's going to get real attention.
The record is at risk. The single season sack record is at risk tomorrow.
I would expect the Browns to be a team that makes mistakes with Shedeur Sanders at the helm. We play that come to us passive counter-punching defense that McDermott he makes inexperienced quarterbacks make mistakes by letting them. And I expect that to happen tomorrow.
Yep. Like it. All good stuff. Dan, thank you so much. Good stuff as always. Excited for this weekend's slate of games. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into NFL Week 16 of MafiaBets on the Overreaction Buffalo Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Enjoy the games this weekend. One more weekend or week closer to well, I guess when we talk next week, it'll be Christmas will be behind us. So Merry Christmas to everybody that maybe, that we're not going to get to talk to or not necessarily going to hear us, but we will be back next week before New Year's. But for me and Dan and everybody here at Overreaction, appreciate you guys. Love you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.